Hey Jason, so I wanted to talk about the nutrition aspect, and I wanted to show you a couple things. So, like you said, with the shorter runs, what you eat, as long as you don't eat too much for breakfast or before a run, it doesn't really matter. Um, Having a banana before a morning run is nice. Before an easy run is nice, but not essential. And then if you go out in the morning, you'll probably eat breakfast afterwards. That's great. But when it comes to workouts like tempo runs, track type runs, or long runs, being mindful of the peri nutrition, the peri run, the around the run nutrition is important. So with electrolytes, I'm not really one to suggest electrolytes for cramping reasons or just randomly drinking electrolyte supplements. You should get plenty of electrolytes from food. And when it actually comes to the electrolyte concentration in your body, when you sweat out far more water than you do electrolytes. So the electrolyte concentration in your body is actually increasing when you sweat. That being said, before hot, hard, or long runs, I do take some electrolytes because I found that no matter how much electrolytes or hydration I drink or take in before, during, or after a very hot run, a run that I sweat a lot, I'll get dehydration headaches of some sort. But I found that pre-run electrolytes prevent the post-run headache 99% of the time. Even in the winter, if I'm wearing a lot of layers to keep warm and I go out for a long run and still end up sweating a lot, I could still potentially get a dehydration headache because you still sweat a ton in the winter. So I still take electrolytes, and these are from Base, and it's a free form. It's uh, they're not in the capsules, and so with this I like it because you can buy a jug of it and you keep it in here. So you just kind of do that. So, but I feel like it's less wasteful because it's just one large packet, and then I just refill this. For intra run fueling, well, let's start with, so before a run, before a track workout, anything not easy, or before a long run, I would typically say eat 200 to 400 calories of something 5 to 30 minutes before the run. If we're talking like you're eating an omelet or something rather large, a couple of breakfast burritos, I would give it at least a half hour. If we're talking half a bagel, you can eat that 5 minutes before a run. It's fine. Mostly what people eat is generally grain based. So, a bagel with cream cheese, some porridge or oatmeal, something like that. Typically for me, it might be, before a shorter kind of workout, maybe a banana, maybe a bagel before a longer run, something like that. Pretty standard. And then during runs, if I were to do a workout like an easy, like for example, easy 10 minutes, a moderately hard 30 minutes, and then an easy 10-minute cool down, so basically a tempo run, I would probably have a banana, a half to a full bagel, depending on size and how much time I have before the run, and of course coffee. And then I would do the warm up. So easy, I would probably do an easy 1 to 2 mile jog, and I would have something immediately before, between or maybe during my jog, before I start the hard stuff. And so that might be, and what I really like to do is I like this. It's from Ultimate Direction. It's a little gel handheld, and Hammer Nutrition has similar ones to these. And basically, from a lot of these companies, a lot of the gel companies, you can buy jugs of their gel, and Goo has one as well, and then refill little packets, little bottles like this. What I use is I just put maple syrup, real, not Aunt Jemima crap, but real maple syrup in this, and it holds about 300 calories. And I think, I think I like it because it's kind of sustainable, because you're not using single-use individual plastic containers for every 100 calories. And I think I did the math, and even like really nice expensive maple syrup is still cheaper per 100 calories than gels that cost $1.50 for 100 calories. So I like maple syrup, and I like about 1 to 200 calories per hour. So if I were to do a long run, I would probably have a bagel or something, a muffin, whatever, before the run. And then every 30, 45 minutes, I would have about 100 calories, which would be about a third of this. During the long run, I would probably, depending on temperature, of course, I'd probably have a handheld with, and I would just drink to thirst. So if I'm thirsty, I would drink. It comes out to about, a normal bottle an hour, but don't force hydration. But if you're thirsty, drink it. And if you're just going out for 2 hours, the temperature is pretty comfortable, you probably don't. I would probably still take this for a 2.5 hour run, but I might just stop by a water fountain twice during a long run if it's not super hot out. So you can kind of play around with what you determine what you prefer, or what you determine you prefer for that. But I like to separate my calories from my hydration, because I like to take in calories kind of on a schedule, 200 calories an hour. But I like to drink as thirst dictates, which, having something handy is nice, because research shows that sometimes it's not actually the dehydration that slows you down, but it's the uncomfortable feeling of being thirsty. Your brain senses that, and it's like, okay, this person's thirsty, they're not getting water, so they actually your brain dials you back in an effort to sustain your homeostasis, and it doesn't know that you're just out for a 2-hour jog. And that's kind of why when you're almost done with a run, you start to feel a little better, because your brain is like, okay, we're almost done, let's get back to the car, to the house, and get some food and hydration in us. Another example is like with glycogen, the storage form of carbohydrates in your body. You always hear like, oh, you run out of glycogen during a marathon and you hit the wall. Well, you never actually run out of glycogen. Your brain senses that your glycogen stores are low, and so then it preemptively slows you down in an effort to, save you, basically. Hitting the wall is a protective mechanism. And so if you take in calories during your runs, if you pace appropriately, if you feel better during the first 20 miles of a marathon, your brain can sense all this, and then it knows that you're playing it a little safer. And then when you get to the end of the run, the last 10K, you'll feel better. So that's kind of how I like my intro run nutrition. After a run, I'm usually just eating something normal, basically anything. Sometimes I'll come back here and have a protein shake, Vega, Silk protein. Sometimes I'll just eat something normal. So as long as you get some sort of food calories in within 30 to 60 minutes of a run, totally fine. It's the overall nutrition, getting in enough calories from a primarily whole food, low processed, that's big. That's a really big deal, is low processed food items. Not only do you get calories, protein, fat, carbs from food, but typically with lower processed items, they're going to be there's going to be more vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients in whole foods sources stuff as well. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any other questions or comments. And I think, and then with shoes, you mentioned shoes. I replied back, but with shoes, comfort is number one. So as long as you have a pair of shoes you're like, okay, these feel good, they fit my feet well, the cushioning level feels good for the runs I'm using these on, you're in the right pair of shoes. So I don't get too picky with the shoes my clients wear, because it's really, if you're looking for a new pair of shoes, it really comes down to going into a running store, showing them or telling them what you have and what you like about them, and they might say, okay, we have 3 to 4 pairs here that are kind of similar to that. Try them on and take home the pair that feels the most comfortable. That will usually almost always get you into a good pair of shoes. But if you're already in a pair of shoes, you're in the Mizuno Wave Sky 2, if you know you like that pair, go buy 3 or 4 pairs. They're pretty cheap right now, so good to go there as well. You found something you like, stick with that. Right, so I think that's it. Any other questions or comments, please let me know, and we'll talk later.